Why is it so hard to detach from someone who no longer chooses you? You tell yourself you're done. You say you've accepted it. And yet, when the day gets quiet, your mind goes back to them. You replay conversations. You wonder what you could have done differently. You wait for a message that never comes. This isn't love anymore. This is attachment. And here's the brutal truth most people don't want to hear. You're not suffering because you care too much. You're suffering because you've handed your inner peace to someone else. Modern culture tells you to move on, to distract yourself, or to cut people off. But none of that works, because it never teaches you how to regain control of your own mind. Stoicism does, not by making you cold, not by turning you into someone who doesn't feel, but by teaching you something far more powerful: emotional sovereignty. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology ever did. They knew that emotional pain doesn't come from people themselves, but from the meaning we attach to them, from expectations, from memories we refuse to let go of, from confusing attachment with love. In the next 30 minutes, you're going to learn 5 Stoic rules that will help you detach emotionally from someone, calmly, cleanly, and with dignity. No hatred, no drama, no pretending you don't care. Just clarity, control, and peace. These principles won't help you forget someone overnight. That's not the goal. The goal is something deeper: to stop needing what you can't control, to stop negotiating with your own suffering, to stop giving your emotional power away. If you're ready to reclaim your mind and choose peace over attachment, stay with me. And before we begin, leave a comment below with this affirmation: I choose peace. Let's begin. 1. Detach from expectations, not from humanity. Most people misunderstand detachment. They think detachment means becoming cold, distant, unreachable. But that's not Stoic detachment. That's emotional shutdown. Stoic detachment is far more precise and far more powerful. You don't detach from people. You detach from expectations, because expectations are where suffering is born. You expected them to understand your pain. You expected them to value what you gave. You expected fairness, loyalty, or closure. And when reality didn't meet those expectations, your mind began to suffer, not because they were cruel, but because you demanded something from them that was never under your control. This is where Marcus Aurelius begins. He reminds us that people act according to their own perceptions, limitations, and nature. They don't wake up each day thinking about how to hurt you. They act based on who they are, not who you wish they would be. The Stoic mistake is not caring. The human mistake is attaching your peace to someone else's behavior. Think about it. Every time you feel disappointed, resentful, or stuck, ask yourself this one brutal question: what expectation did I place on them? An apology, consistency, emotional availability, commitment. Now ask the second question. This one matters more. Was that expectation ever truly under my control? Because if it wasn't, then what you're feeling isn't love. It's attachment to an outcome you can't command. Stoicism doesn't tell you to stop being human. It tells you to stop being naive. Marcus Aurelius wrote for himself, not for applause. He understood that inner peace requires radical responsibility. Responsibility not for what others do, but for what you expect. Here's a modern example. You're waiting for a message. Not because you need information, but because you need reassurance. Each hour without a reply feels heavier. Your mood shifts, your focus disappears. But notice what's actually happening. Nothing external has changed. No new harm occurred. The suffering came from this silent sentence running in your mind. They should respond by now. That word, should, is poison to the Stoic mind. The moment you release the should, the pain loosens its grip. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped demanding. Detachment begins here, not by cutting people off, not by hardening your heart, but by saying this clearly and honestly: I will not attach my peace to expectations I cannot enforce. This is not weakness. This is emotional discipline. Now, here's the practice. Take a piece of paper, draw 2 columns. On the left, write what I expect. On the right, write what I control. Be ruthless. Under expectations, write everything you're secretly waiting for. Understanding, effort, consistency, validation, closure. Then, on the right, write only what belongs to you. Your boundaries, your response, your attention, your values, your next action. Look at the list. Everything on the left is optional suffering. Everything on the right is power. Stoic detachment is simply this shift from hoping to choosing, from waiting to governing yourself. Marcus Aurelius didn't detach from people. He detached from illusions. And the moment you do the same, something changes. You still care, but you no longer cling. You still feel, but you are no longer ruled. Remember this line. Let it land. You don't detach from people. You detach from expectations. And when expectations fall away, peace has space to return. Take a breath, because the next rule goes even deeper. It's about the most dangerous trap of all: your memories. 2. Stop negotiating with memories. If expectations chain you to the present, memories chain you to the past. And for most people, this is where emotional detachment truly fails. You don't miss the person as they are now. You miss a version of them, a highlight reel your mind keeps replaying when you're tired, lonely, or vulnerable. The laugh, the good moments, the way things felt at the beginning. But Stoicism teaches something uncomfortable. Memories are not truth. They are interpretations, filtered through emotion, and when you keep revisiting them, you're not remembering, you're negotiating. You tell yourself, it wasn't that bad. Maybe I overreacted. We had something special. This internal negotiation keeps attachment alive. Marcus Aurelius warned against this long before therapy rooms existed. He understood that suffering doesn't come from events, but from the stories we tell ourselves about those events. And memories are stories with the strongest emotional charge. Here's the danger. The mind does not replay reality accurately. It edits. It removes the silence, the disrespect, the inconsistency. It keeps the warmth and discards the cost. So every time you scroll through old photos, every time you reread messages, every time you mentally return to a moment that no longer exists, you're not honoring love. You're feeding attachment. Stoicism doesn't ask you to erase your past. It asks you to stop letting the past vote on your present. Think about this honestly. If that person were truly right for you, if the bond were truly mutual, you wouldn't be stuck negotiating with memories. You'd be living in reality, not replaying it. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this discipline of the mind. He trained himself to observe thoughts without obeying them, to say, this is a memory, not a command. That distinction matters, because memories feel authoritative. But they hold no power unless you give it to them. Let's bring this into real life. You're alone at night, your phone is quiet, your guard is down. A memory surfaces. Suddenly, your chest tightens. You feel pulled back, but notice what happened. Nothing new occurred. No action, no message, no loss. The pain came from mental time travel. Stoicism teaches presence for a reason, because the past cannot hurt you. Only your attachment to it can. Now here is the practice. This is critical. You're going to do what most people are afraid to do. A memory audit. Take one memory you often return to. Write it down in 2 columns. Column 1. What actually happened, facts only. No emotions, no meaning. Column 2. What I imagined or added. This is where honesty hurts. The future you hoped for, the potential you projected, the version of them that only existed in your mind. When you see this clearly, something shifts. The memory loses its emotional authority, because clarity dissolves illusion. Marcus Aurelius didn't suppress memories, he stripped them of their power. And that's the Stoic way, not resistance, not repression, discernment. Say this to yourself when a memory appears: this happened, it is over, it does not command me. Repeat it. Because detachment isn't forgetting, it's remembering without attachment. Let this line anchor you: the past has no authority, unless you keep giving it permission. When you stop negotiating with memories, your mind begins to return to the present. And in the present is where your power has always been. Take a breath, because the next rule is where real strength begins. It's about withdrawing emotional investment, without losing self-respect. And this is where most people either reclaim their dignity or lose themselves completely. 3. Withdraw emotional investment, not self-respect. This is where most people fail. They try to detach, but they do it by shrinking themselves. They stop speaking honestly. They lower their standards. They accept less just to stay connected. That's not detachment. That's self-abandonment. Stoic detachment is not about disappearing. It's about withdrawing emotional investment without losing dignity. Because attachment survives on one thing only: unequal emotional giving. You give attention, you give patience, you give understanding, and you keep giving even when the return is inconsistent, minimal, or absent. Not because you're weak, but because you hope. Hope is dangerous when it's not anchored in reality. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He never taught people to chase approval. He taught them to act in accordance with virtue, regardless of response. Your worth in Stoicism is not something others grant. It's something you practice. Here's the painful truth. The more you overinvest emotionally, the less power you have. Not because caring is wrong, but because self-respect leaks when boundaries dissolve. Think about your behavior when attachment is active. You reply instantly, even when you're busy. You explain your feelings repeatedly, hoping they'll finally get it. You stay available, just in case. Each of these feels small, harmless. But together, they send one silent message: my emotional energy is negotiable. Stoicism rejects that completely. Marcus Aurelius wrote about guarding the mind like a fortress, not against people, but against behaviors that erode character. Detachment begins when you stop auditioning for importance. Here's a modern example. You send a thoughtful message. Hours pass. No reply. Your impulse is to send another message, or to explain yourself, or to soften your words so you don't seem too much. But pause. What are you really doing? You're not communicating, you're compensating, and compensation always weakens position. Stoic detachment doesn't demand silence, it demands alignment. Your actions must match your values. If you value mutual effort, you stop carrying conversations alone. If you value respect, you stop over-explaining your boundaries. If you value peace, you stop chasing clarity from someone who avoids it. This is not punishment, it's calibration. Marcus Aurelius never said, "Make them understand." He said, in essence, be clear with yourself. So here is the Stoic practice. It's called an emotional budget. Every day, you spend energy. Attention, thought, care. But Stoics don't spend blindly. Ask yourself, who consistently earns access to my emotional energy? Who receives far more than they return? Who benefits from my availability without honoring it? Then adjust. Not dramatically, not angrily, but decisively. You reply when it's aligned, not when you're anxious. You speak when it's purposeful, not when you're afraid of silence. You give when it's mutual, not when you're trying to secure affection. This is how emotional investment is withdrawn. quietly, cleanly, with self-respect intact. Here's the line you need to remember. Detachment doesn't begin when you stop caring. It begins when you stop overgiving. The moment you stop chasing, something returns. Your time, your focus, your dignity, and often your clarity. Not because they suddenly change, but because you do. Marcus Aurelius didn't beg for loyalty. He lived in a way that made self-betrayal impossible. Do the same. Withdraw emotional investment where it's not reciprocated, but never withdraw your standards. Take a breath. Because the next rule is the one that finally ends the inner war. It's about letting go of the most seductive illusion of all. What should have been. 4. Accept what is, not what should have been. There is one illusion more painful than loss. Not what happened, but what you believed should have happened. This is where emotional suffering hides the longest. You don't just grieve the person. You grieve the future you imagined with them, the conversations that never happened, the version of them that existed only in your hope, the life that felt almost real. Stoicism cuts through this with ruthless clarity. Pain does not come from reality. Pain comes from arguing with reality. Marcus Aurelius warned against this trap constantly. He reminded himself again and again that the universe does not owe us outcomes that fit our desires. And yet, when attachment is active, we resist this truth. We say, if only they had tried harder. If only timing was different. If only they saw my value. But notice what every if only has in common. It rejects what is in favor of what should have been. And as long as you live there, detachment is impossible. Because you're not attached to the person anymore. You're attached to a counterfactual reality. Stoicism calls this a form of self-inflicted suffering. Not because you're wrong for feeling, but because you're demanding the past to rewrite itself. Marcus Aurelius practiced something radical. He accepted events exactly as they occurred, without emotional negotiation. This didn't make him passive. It made him unshakable. Acceptance in Stoicism is not surrender, it is alignment with facts. Here's what acceptance actually sounds like. This is what happened. This is who they chose to be. This is where it ended. No embellishment, no blame, no fantasy, just truth. And truth, while painful at first, is lighter than illusion. Think about how much energy you spend replaying alternatives. What you could have said, what they might have done, how close it felt. That mental loop keeps the wound open, because your mind is still fighting a battle that already ended. Stoicism teaches you to lay down weapons after the war, not because you lost, but because continuing to fight reality only guarantees suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote about loving fate, amor fati, not because fate is kind, but because resisting it is pointless. When you accept what is, your mind stops burning energy on resistance, and something unexpected happens. Peace enters, not dramatically, but steadily. Here is the Stoic practice. It's simple and uncomfortable. Write one sentence, just one. Describe the situation exactly as it is now, without emotion. For example, they chose not to continue this relationship. They are emotionally unavailable. This connection is no longer mutual. Read it, let your body react, then repeat it until the resistance softens. This is not denial, this is grounding. You are anchoring yourself in reality. And reality, no matter how harsh, is stable. Illusions are not. Detachment happens the moment you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start stating, this happened. Now I move forward. Marcus Aurelius didn't seek comfort in alternate timelines. He found strength in accepting the one he stood in. Remember this line: you don't detach by erasing the past. You detach by accepting it fully. When you stop fighting what should have been, you reclaim energy for what still can be built. Take a breath. Because the final rule is the one that completes the process. It answers the question everyone fears. If I let go, what do I replace this attachment with? And the Stoics had a clear answer. Purpose, discipline, direction. That's where we're going next. 5. Replace attachment with purpose. Here is the mistake almost everyone makes. They try to remove attachment without replacing it with anything. And the mind hates emptiness. So when the attachment fades, the thoughts come back. The cravings return. The urge to check, to reach out, to relapse, grows stronger. Stoicism understood this danger. You cannot simply let go. You must redirect. Marcus Aurelius never told himself to stop feeling. He gave his mind something higher to serve. Purpose, discipline, duty to one's own character. Because attachment is not just emotional, it's directional. Your attention was pointed outward, towards someone else. Detachment requires turning that attention inward, toward your own becoming. Here's the truth most people resist. You weren't attached to them. You were attached to how they made you feel about yourself. Validation, meaning, momentum. When that disappears, you feel empty. Not because you lost them, but because you lost structure. Stoicism replaces attachment with self-command. Marcus Aurelius believed a human being has one sacred obligation: to live in accordance with reason and virtue every single day. That's not abstract philosophy. That's daily direction. When your days are empty, attachment creeps back in. When your days are structured, attachment starves. Look at your routine honestly. When do thoughts of them hit hardest? Usually when you're idle, you're tired, you're undisciplined, you're avoiding your own responsibilities. Attachment thrives in unclaimed time. Stoic detachment claims that time back, not with distractions, but with purposeful action. Here is the Stoic shift. Instead of asking, "How do I stop thinking about them?" ask, "What kind of person am I becoming today?" Marcus Aurelius woke up each morning reminding himself of his duties, not because he felt motivated, but because duty outlasts emotion. This is the practice, a 30-day self-command challenge. Nothing extreme, nothing performative, just disciplined redirection. You choose. 1 physical discipline, training, walking, cold exposure. 1 mental discipline, reading, journaling, studying Stoicism. 1 character discipline, honesty, restraint, boundaries. Every day, without negotiation. Not to distract yourself, but to rebuild identity, because attachment fades when identity strengthens. You stop asking, "Do they miss me?" and start asking, "Did I keep my word to myself today?" That question changes everything. Purpose doesn't erase emotion overnight, but it gives emotion a place to land without controlling you. Marcus Aurelius didn't detach by avoidance. He detached by engagement with life itself. He filled his days with what mattered, and slowly, the pull weakened. Here's the line that completes the entire philosophy. You don't detach by resisting attachment. You detach by becoming devoted to something greater. Greater than longing. Greater than nostalgia. Greater than someone else's attention. When your life has direction, attachment loses leverage. Take a breath, because you've reached the final understanding. Detachment is not loss. It is returning ownership of your life to yourself. Reinforcing the Stoic identity, inner strength. Let's bring this together. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. You learned 5 Stoic rules. You don't detach from people. You detach from expectations. You stop negotiating with memories. You withdraw emotional investment, not self-respect. You accept what is, not what should have been. And finally, You replace attachment with purpose. None of this requires hatred. None of this requires cutting people off dramatically. Stoicism is quiet power. It teaches you to feel fully, without being ruled, to care, without clinging, to remember, without suffering. Marcus Aurelius never asked life to be gentle. He trained himself to be strong enough to meet it, and that strength came from one place only: mastery of his own mind. Detachment is not about losing someone. It's about reclaiming yourself, your time, your attention, your dignity. If this message resonated, leave a comment with the rule that struck you the most. And before you go, repeat this affirmation, slowly, honestly. I choose peace over attachment. If you're committed to building a mind that cannot be shaken, subscribe and continue the work. Because peace is not found, it is practiced every single day.